Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Language Profiles, Episode 1, with your host, Shade, aka me. Why am I calling this one Episode 1 when I did the Portuguese video? Well, the Portuguese video was supposed to be more of a pilot episode, if you will, just to see how well this series would go. And I figured it did okay. So, let's start another one with Icelandic. But what is Icelandic anyway? Icelandic is a Germanic language. All Germanic languages evolved out of Proto-Germanic, which was spoken by around 500 BCE and possibly originated in Scandinavia and had split into different local dialects within migration. Within these dialects, three distinct varieties of Germanic arose: Eastern, Western, and Northern. The Northern dialect evolved into Old Norse, spoken from 2 to 8 CE by the seafaring Vikings. After 8 CE, Old Norse split into varieties during the Viking era. There was Old West Norse, spoken in Norway, Iceland, the Faroe Islands, the Isle of Man, Scotland, Ireland, and Normandy. Old East Norse, spoken in Normandy, Russia, England, Denmark, and Sweden. Then Old Gutnish, spoken on the Isle of Gotland. Old Norse split into these three dialects, which then became the modern languages of today. Old East Norse evolved into Swedish and Danish. Old Gutnish evolved into Gutnish today. And Old West Norse evolved into Norwegian, Faroese, Norn, an extinct language, and today's subject, Icelandic. The Latin alphabet was introduced in the 12th century. Prior to that, the runic alphabet was used and designed as a sacred alphabet that was engraved into stone, metal, or wood. Very few runic inscriptions have been found and dated after 1200. The language began to grow in isolation, but the country was a part of the Denmark-Norwegian Union, where the Norwegian elite spoke a form of Danish rather than their own Norwegian language, and spread to Greenland and Iceland from 1537 to 1814. With Icelandic, there was a Danish influence. Around the year 1550, the Lutheran Reformation helped jumpstart the name Modern Icelandic. The modern Icelandic alphabet developed from a standard established in the 19th century, primarily by a Danish linguist Rasmus Rask, based on the orthographic standard created in the early 12th century in a mysterious document by an anonymous author later referred to as the First Grammarian. Rask's standard made some changes to fit Germanic conventions, such as using K than C. Various old features like eth hadn't seen much use in later centuries, so Rask's standard called for some minor adjustments. Later changes also included dropping Z in 1973 and including E with an acute accent be written as ye or je. Linguistic purism. In the 18th century, the Icelandic authorities implemented a stringent policy of linguistic purism. Under this policy, some writers and terminologists were in charge of creating new vocabulary for new concepts without borrowing from other languages. A few words in this use were updated and neologisms were created from Old Norse roots. For example,
Rafmagn,
meaning electricity, actually means amber power.
sími,
Meaning telephone, originally meant ire, and
tölva,
meaning computer, combines
tala,
meaning digit or number, and
völva,
meaning a female fortune teller. Today, there are around 314,000 native speakers of Icelandic, the vast majority living in Iceland, of course, where it's the national language. But what is Icelandic like? There are 32 letters in the Icelandic alphabet, 14 of them vowels and 18 of them consonants. Two letters that might stand out here are the letter F, pronounced the, but before a pause, th, and the letter thorn, pronounced the same way, th. This soft dental fricative is one of few Indo-European languages to have this sound, th. There are some notable consonant sounds that are a little tricky for English speakers. For example, a voiced velar fricative,
laga,
a voiceless bilabial nasal,
lappi,
a voiceless alveolar nasal.
hnífur,
As a side note, HN might be pronounced kn in casual speech, a voiceless palatal nasal,
banki,
and a voiceless velar nasal.
þungt,
Another challenge might be aspirated consonants. These are consonants that have an aspirated sound like h that can either come before
páfi, tala, kær, koma,
or after the consonant.
ekki, þakka, tappi, stutt,
Vowels. Icelandic vowels can either be short or long. And another note are other diacritics are used, most of them containing the acute accent. Now let's take a look at a few sentences and see how Icelandic works. This means, did you see the movie? In the present tense.
Sjáuð þið kvikmyndina?
Word for word, it's see, you, plural, movie or film, the. This pronoun, þið, is the second person plural personal pronoun. Icelandic is a non-pro-drop language, like English, meaning subject pronouns cannot be dropped. Next we see
Sjá,
meaning to see, in the second person plural. Then we have this word,
kvikmynd.
meaning film or movie, with the suffix meaning the, which acts as a definite article. Here, in is used because the word is feminine, and this is for the definite. There are also forms for the indefinite. Notice that for the neuter, there is no form used for the indefinite. Neuters either have no ending at all or a final accented vowel, but there are also case inflections. Case inflections meaning that the noun changes based on the grammatical function of the word. There are 4 cases: nominative, accusative, genitive, and dative. If you're familiar with German, then this won't be much of a surprise to learn. Another sentence meaning, he hasn't eaten anything since yesterday.
Hann hefur ekki borðað neitt síðan í gær.
Word for word, it's he has not eaten anything since yesterday. This word
Hafa,
is in the third person singular. Notice here, hefur is also hefir, normally conjugated. Next is the past participle of the verb
borða.
meaning to eat. The only important thing here to notice is that it's how the negation word comes between the auxiliary verb and the past participle, just like in English. Here's another sentence meaning, today they will fly to Spain.
Í dag fljúga þeir til Spánar.
This sentence contains something a little bit confusing for native English speakers. This is called V2 word order. V2 word order means that adverbs or another part of the sentence comes first, the verb comes next, and then the subject comes after. This phenomenon applies to both embedded clauses and main clauses in Icelandic, but for some North Germanic languages, this doesn't apply. And one more sentence, meaning, where's my pillow?
Hvar koddinn minn?
Word for word, it's where is pillow the my. Here we see one of numerous interrogative pronouns starting with HV, in this case meaning where, meaning is, and this word
koddi,
meaning pillow, with the suffix nn as the definite article. There are 2 main declensions or noun classes for nouns. Strong nouns end in a consonant and weak nouns end in a vowel. Because this word ends in a vowel, it's a weak noun. And then this word, min, is the first person singular possessive pronoun. As we've seen by now, Icelandic is a very special language and one that might work very differently from your native language. But if you speak English or another North Germanic language, or another Germanic language in general, then Icelandic will be very familiar and unfamiliar in many ways. Also, if you want to get into Nordic cultures, Icelandic will be a perfect language to learn because, well, Icelandic hasn't really changed as much and is more similar to Old Norse. That to be said, it's also a category 4 language according to the FSI, meaning as it's relatively hard for English speakers to learn. But there are people who learn it, and you might be very enriched with your experience. Until then, it's me, Shade, and I'll see you all later. See you then.